All right, guys, welcome to one more session on AWS ECS. In this, but in the last session, we have basically looked into AWS secrets. In this particular session, we will majorly look into storage with EFS. Okay. First of all, let us understand what do I mean by storage with EFS. Now, EFS has a service, or we can say EFS is a service that is useful for us to share the storage or provide additional storage to a EC2 instance or to a ECS. Now let us say we are creating a task definition, or let's say we are creating a task. Task is nothing but a container, right? Now I want to store all the data that an app that is running in this container or whatever user generated data for this task, I want that to be stored in ECS. Now, what happens if I store the data in EFS? What happens if I store the data in EFS? So this EFS is basically highly available. It can be distributed across multiple regions and unlimited storage. As soon as we keep adding new data to EFS, the EFS size will keep on increasing. Okay, so that is couple of advantages using a EFS storage. And now let's say if we have deleted a task after some time, now still our data will be there in EFS. Okay, that means even after the lifetime of a task, or you can prefer task as a container, whatever data that is generated by this container, that one we can see that on EFS. That is one of the advantages of storing data on EFS. Now let us see how to do that. First of all, if we have to establish this hands-on exercise, first we need to create a task definition. We need to create a ECS cluster, and we need to create a task. So when we are even before that, we need to create a EFS, and to make this EFS secure, we have to create a security group and put this EFS in this security group. Now in the task definition, we need to add this EFS ID to the task definition. Now that is how whenever we create a task from this task definition, the task will have access to the EFS. Okay, these are the multiple steps that we need to perform when we are creating this, or when we are giving additional storage to task with the help of EFS. Let me flip to my AWS console to go ahead and implement this. Now I'm on my AWS console. Let me go to the service called as EFS. EFS stands for Elastic File System. Now it says that it is a managed file storage for EC2. Okay, we can also provide the file storage to ECS also by using EFS. Now you see, as soon as I go to this page called as Elastic File System, there's an option to create a file system. Select create a file system, and let us give a name. I'm giving the name as EFS-ECS. Now choose this option called as customize here. Okay, because I want to choose all the options manually. So you see here, there's an option called as enable automatic backups. So if you choose this, automatically backups will be created for this EFS we are doing. And the lifecycle management. So now it has to go to what kind of storage, okay, and how many days it has to store in which storage. We can configure lifecycle management and data encryption. You want a data encryption or not, okay, and performance settings, whether it should be enhanced or bursting. All right, let's go to next. I will choose leave all everything for defaults. And now if you see here, security group, it is a default security group. Let me choose one of the security group which I have NFS port that is already added, that is called as launch wizard 1. Okay, now let me choose here also same security group. You see my EFS is distributed across all these availability zones, Okay, so I need to add the security group in all the regions. First of all, let me remove all. And it's not mandatory, it has to be there in every region. Right, and let me select for the other region as well. So now I have in security group selected in multiple regions, and then select next, next, and then create. So now basically what is happening now, EFS is created. Now we have to create a task, means container, and when we are creating container, the data has to come to this EFS. Now how to do that? The first thing is that we have to create a task definition, we have to create a cluster, and we have to create a task. Now let me go to ECS. Okay, let me go to ECS here. Even before we create a cluster, right, let us do one thing. Let us create a EC2 instance and mount the EFS share that we have created to the EC2 instance. Let me go to my EC2 console here. Let me go to instances, select option launch instance, and then give the instance name as EFS, or let's say ECS hyphen EFS. Drop down, Amazon Linux is fine. Let's go to network settings here. Let's select option edit. You see there is no subnet preference. Let me, because we have created a EFS in 1A and 1B, right? So let me choose the subnet which is there in US East 1A. Okay, and then let me scroll down, and then let me add another security group here. Add security group rule anywhere. Okay, and then let's say add a new volume here. You see file systems, select option edit. Okay, add a shared file system. You see the file system that I have created, I can see it here. Okay, and it will be mounted on the server in this path called as /mnt/efs as a file system name as fs1. All right, now let me see whether I have chosen key pair or not. Yeah, let me choose a key pair for us to log in. I'll use the key pair as same secrets. All right, now let's go ahead and select option launch instance. Now this instance is getting launched, and then we will log into this instance and we will see whether you're able to see the EFS file system or not. Okay, let's go to instances. My instance name is ECS EFS. Let me click on this, and the instance still it is in pending state. Okay, now let's select option called as connect, and then connect. Now let's run a syntax called as df-h. You see there this file system mount /efs/fs is also there to this particular server. We can also use df-t. It will be capital T. Okay, we can see this. how much data is there, only less than 1 kb of data is there, how much it is used, it is not used, it is available, and this file system is there. Let's do one thing, let us add some data to this file system now. Okay, let me say cd and the file system, paste, slash mnt slash efs slash fs1 ls. You see there is no files here. Let us create a index.html file here. Create index.html. Okay, or let's use vi editor, which is much easier. Vi index.html, enter. Let's put some code here. html, say body, h1, which is like a header, say hello level up. I'm closing the header there. Starting a para. I'm just putting some content. We are using Amazon EFS files. Okay, and then let me close the body. Closing the HTML tag as well. Okay, I made one mistake here. I need to close the this paragraph as well. Okay, this is the content that I'm storing in the EFS file system. All right, now let me run this df hyphen t and let's see now. Uh, okay, we have put very less amount of data, so it is not showing how much we have used, etc. Okay, but this is our file system. Okay, so now what we have done, we have created a EC2 instance, we have created a EFS, we mounted the EFS to the EC2 instance, and we have put some data. Now this data, I want to access that through task. That means a container that we are creating from ECS. Now let's go to ECS here. Let me create a cluster. Select option, create cluster. I will say new cluster. All right, then let me scroll down. I will select from Amazon EC2 instances, create a new ESG, and then Amazon Linux, the instance type. Let me choose as T2 macro, and I'll enter the desired capacity as 1 and max 5. And if I want to log into this, I need a key pair and then select option create. This will go ahead and create a ECS cluster. While that is creating, let us create a task definition. To create a task definition from EFS, we need a EFS ID. Let's go to EFS. Okay, this is our EFS and our EFS ID. This is our EFS ID. Let me copy this. Let me paste it here. All right, and let me go ahead and create a task definition. Select option, create a new task definition with JSON. Now let me delete this and let me open my Visual Studio Code, and you see the definition, task definition here. Let me copy this. Paste this here, and then all I need to do is that I need to change this file system ID. I'll give the name of the file system ID I have created. This is the file system ID. And then I'm giving the file system ID here. And rest all, we can leave it as default and select option create. Now what happens? Whatever task that we create from this task definition, right? They all will share the same EFS file system. Okay. Now let's say the task definition is created. Let's go ahead and do a deploy. Select option run task. Choose a cluster. This is the cluster we have created. Launch capacity. Use cluster default. And then task. Okay, rest all I will leave it to default and select option create a task. You see task is launched. It is provisioning. Let us give it a minute. Now if you see the cluster is the task is active and if it is in running state. Now let me click on this task. We'll be able to see a public IP address. Let me copy this public IP address and put in the browser. Now we should be able to see the HTML file that we have given in the EFS. Click enter. Now you see, hello level up, we are using Amazon EFS file system. That means basically we have created one EFS file system and we have given that EFS file system to the ECS. Now whatever is there in the EFS file system, ECS is able to access that. Okay, if I create like 10 tasks now, all the 10 tasks will get the same output because we are sharing the data with the help of EFS file system. All right. See you guys in the next session. Take care.